You bought your cat real toys. Laser pointer, feather wand, the puzzle feeder from the fancy pet store, the silver vine kickstick. Your cat ignores all of them. But this morning, you woke up to a hair tie, a bottle cap, and one of your missing socks, arranged in a neat pile beside your bed. Your cat was watching from the doorway. It made a small chirp when you noticed. Most people call this cute, a quirky habit, proof the cat loves them. That reading is half the picture. Every piece of this ritual, the objects picked, where the pile lands, the small chirp you hear when you notice, maps to a documented behavior pattern. One part of that pattern uses a communication mode your cat normally reserves for its own kittens. Most owners never hear about that detail. There's also the boring cost. Hair ties, rubber bands, and string are near the top of every vet's foreign body surgery list. If your cat is collecting them, it's probably chewing them too. By the end of this video, you'll know what the 3 a.m. sock pile actually means. And I'll give you 2 fixes that keep the instinct satisfied without the hazard. Let's get into it. Start here. Your cat is not hunting because it's hungry. Every domestic cat runs a predatory motor pattern. Watch, stalk, pounce, grab, bite, harry, drop, cash. That operates on its own internal clock, completely independent of whether there is food in the bowl. This isn't a theory. It has been documented in captive wildcats, feral colonies, and pampered apartment cats across decades of feline behavior research. Evolution decoupled hunger from hunting a long time ago. A cat that only hunted when starving was a cat that died young. So the wiring separated. Food goes one place, hunt goes another. Your cat will execute the full sequence on a full stomach, every time. The kibble isn't solving anything. It runs on a different track. Once you see that, the strange ritual you keep waking up to clicks into place. Your cat isn't playing with the hair tie. Your cat is hunting tails that don't bleed. Indoor cats that have never seen a real prey animal run the exact same program, with exactly the same intensity. The only thing that changes is the props. So the hunt runs. That explains the chase. It doesn't explain the pile. Most people assume the cluster of weird objects next to the bed is your cat dumping its playthings in a random spot. It is not random. It is a specific behavior called caching. In the wild, a cat that kills something larger than it can eat in one sitting doesn't eat on the spot. It carries the kill back to a secure, scent-dense location and stashes it there, somewhere the cat feels safe enough to turn its back on and sleep next to. To your cat, your bed is not a bed. It is the highest concentration deposit of you anywhere in the building. Years of skin oils, sleep breath, hair, and scent gland transfer from your hands and face, compounding in the same rectangle every night. Cats don't read that as furniture. They read it as coordinates, which means the pile beside the bed isn't your cat dumping things near you. It is your cat's equivalent of a pantry. One indoor cat, documented by behaviorists, had dozens of hair ties filed inside a single drawer next to its owner's pillow. It wasn't hiding them, it was organizing them. Which brings us to the chirp. You know the one. Small, high, almost a question, not quite a meow. Your cat makes it when you notice the pile, or when it's carrying something in on the way past you. That sound isn't from the library of meows your cat uses with you in day-to-day conversation. Domestic cats have around 21 distinct adult vocalizations, depending on which ethology study you look at. They only use about 3 of them with their humans: the standard meow, the purr, the greeting chirp. The prey chirp is from a different shelf entirely. It is part of the queen kitten vocabulary, the calls mother cats use to pull kittens toward food, signal a successful return, coordinate a meal. So when your cat aims that sound at you, it is using a communication mode that was never meant to travel across species. It is using a juvenile register call on an adult human. The objection writes itself. So my cat thinks I'm a kitten? That can't be right. It isn't that literal. Your cat has you filed under a non-adult category, not loved less, slotted differently. The third clue is the objects themselves. Not random, not whatever the cat happened to step on last. Cats select with a very specific filter. and it has almost nothing to do with color. A cat's eyes evolved to detect motion, low light, and shape, not color contrast. So when your cat is scanning your apartment for things to add to the pile, it isn't noticing what's red or blue. It is noticing what moves, weighs, and drags like prey. Hair ties flick like tails. Socks carry scent weight like freshly killed rodents. Bottle caps roll like small skulls across hardwood. Pen caps are exactly small bone-sized and light enough to carry in the mouth over a long distance. Call this the texture library. Every object in your home has either made it onto the shelf or been rejected. Your cat has quietly audited the contents of your apartment against a very old checklist: weight, drag, rolling behavior, scent carry, and filed what passes. Your cat has assembled a taxidermy shop in your apartment. You keep throwing the exhibits in the bin. Last piece, the timing. The pile rarely shows up at noon. It shows up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., sometimes 5 a.m., always in that narrow window where you are either just waking up or strongly wishing you weren't. That isn't a coincidence. Peak cat activity isn't spread across the 24-hour clock. It clusters at dawn and dusk. Ethologists call this crepuscular, a pattern shared by most small predators, because those windows are when rodents, small birds, and insects are also most active. The pre-dawn 3 to 5 a.m. delivery mirrors a sequence field ethologists have documented across feral cats and wildcats. Successful hunt, carry home, cache in the den, wait for the den mates to wake up. That's your role in the cycle. You're waking up because there's a small object next to your foot that wasn't there 6 hours ago. If your cat is doing this at 3 a.m., you are living with someone working a shift job you didn't hire them for. And that shift doesn't end. That's the interesting half. Here's the important one. Because a cat that collects hair ties is a cat that's closer to swallowing one than most owners realize. Vets have a specific name for this kind of emergency: linear foreign body. The name sounds clinical. The mechanism is grim. And it is worth understanding because it is the exact failure mode hair ties, rubber bands, and string cause. Here is what happens. Your cat swallows a hair tie. The tie reaches the stomach, where one end catches and anchors: a ridge, a fold, the pyloric sphincter. Meanwhile, the intestine below the stomach is doing what it always does: contracting in waves, trying to push food along. The problem is the hair tie isn't food. It is a long, thin, inflexible object with one end nailed down upstream. So as the intestine contracts through the rest of the tie, it doesn't move the tie forward, it bunches around it. Then it starts getting cut. The intestine saws itself on the stretched rubber from the inside over hours, sometimes days. By the time the cat shows symptoms, vomiting, flat affect, refusing food, the damage is often already done. Surgery to remove a linear foreign body typically runs $3,000 to $8,000 in the U.S. A missed diagnosis is often fatal. Vets describe this one by mechanism, not by symptom, because the symptom is often the cat being dead. If you think your cat has already swallowed one, don't wait for symptoms. Call your vet. You don't have to fight the instinct. You just have to redirect the prop list. Your first move? The legal stash. Place a low, open basket beside your bed. Leave it there permanently. Inside the basket, 3 or 4 cat-safe items that hit the same profile as the hair tie: small, light, pick-upable, texture-rich. A kick stick, a kicker mouse, a crinkle ball, a small felt mouse with a rattle. These are not toys in the laser pointer sense. They are prey-shaped objects the cat can carry in its mouth across the apartment and file next to your pillow without getting rushed to surgery for it. At the same time, sweep the bedside surfaces. Hair ties off the nightstand, rubber bands out of the drawer, bread tag twists, craft elastics, any string or ribbon longer than 4 inches. All of it goes into a closed drawer, a zipped bag, or another room entirely. The logic is simple. Cats cache in the easiest available spot, and they cache what is available there. You are not deleting the caching behavior. You are swapping the contents of the library. 2 things on the nightstand tonight: nothing round and elastic, and a basket with 3 cat-safe items in it. That is the whole setup. Many cats switch over within a week or two. Individual timelines vary. Your second move addresses the timing. The 3 a.m. delivery happens because your cat's prey drive cycle is firing in the middle of your deep sleep. Nothing is going to stop the cycle from firing, but you can move when it fires. Call this the closing hunt. About half an hour before you go to sleep, pick up a real wand toy, a long stick with a feather or mouse attachment on a string, not a laser pointer. Lasers do not let the cat complete the sequence. There is nothing to grab at the end, and that leaves the drive unsatisfied, looking for something to finish on later. Run a hard 15-minute play session. Stalks, sprints, pounces. Let the cat actually catch the toy several times and hold it in its mouth. That catch is the part that closes the motor pattern. Skip the catch, and the whole session becomes a warm-up your cat can't finish. Immediately after the session, feed a small meal. A tablespoon of wet food is enough. This matters because a cat's natural sequence is hunt, catch, eat, groom, sleep, in exactly that order. Closing the sequence with food triggers the sleep signal down the chain. Done consistently, many cats shift their 3 a.m. window to a 10 p.m. window within a couple of weeks. The pile still arrives. It just stops arriving while you are in REM. Here's what it comes down to. Your cat is running a hunting program older than written history, inside an apartment that is 4 years old. Every night, it scans the rooms for anything that passes the filter, picks what passes, carries what it picked, files it where it feels safest. And the safest place it can find to keep them is next to you. The 3 a.m. shift, the texture library, the chirp, the basket, the closing hunt. None of it is random. Each piece is a decision from an animal that doesn't have words, never had kittens to teach, and has no obvious reason to run the full program inside a modern apartment, but runs it anyway. You are the safest thing in the apartment. If the pile is next to your bed right now, hit like. That's how the shift gets logged. And for more on what your cat is actually telling you, subscribe and turn on the bell. See you in the next one.